Well, welcome everybody. I have Emma Gleadhill today. She is a former teacher, a school leader, and she's supported thousands of teens and their families over a 30-year career. She's now an educational speaker, trainer, and coach, and she's worked with more than 50 UK schools as an advisor and also works day to day with parents navigating adolescence and other stages of childhood. Emma runs wellbeing talks, webinars, workshops for parents and pupils in schools. She's a 53-year-old Menno mum of 16-year-old girl, as she put it. But one of Emma's areas of expertise is conflict, and how to take the stress out of that as a parent, pupil, teenager. Emma has also has psychoanalytic training, and she's been a school governor, so we can talk about talking to the school. You also have a brilliant newsletter, Emma, which I will put the link of in the caption here. So, as I always say at the beginning, this is general guidance for you to pick and choose from, and this is not guidance for those with more complex needs or children with more complex needs. So, shall we start? Because the thing that comes up a lot for me when I talk to parents of teenagers, specifically around year 9, is that at that stage it begins to feel as if friendship is really, really difficult. Words like toxic come up, group friendships need to be
Mm.
handled in a specific way. And our children suddenly, as they head to big school, have to adapt in a whole new landscape of friendship. Tell us, Emma, kind of from a developmental stage point of view, what's going on, particularly at that year 9 time, year 9, 10.
Yeah, it's a time of huge change in terms of sort of brain development and social and emotional development. All the kind of attachments with parents are starting to be reworked and renegotiated. So we might be like Haribo, the craved, desired, other
Yes.
when our kids are at primary school and, in that first year of secondary school as well, they're sort of, oh, let me tell you, let me tell you, let me tell you kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then it sort of tends to go a bit quiet where that distance comes in. And we can collude with that distance a little bit too readily and just sort of leave them to it. Whereas I think if we are kind of that less judgmental, less reactive,
Yeah.
calm, mentoring presence in their lives, then it can be a bit less of a roller coaster because they'll come to us earlier. One of the things I noticed when I was a deputy head and responsible for safeguarding was that, parents would come to us in sort of year 8 or year 9 with kind of falling apart themselves because they'd just discovered that their child had not spoken to anyone at lunchtime for 2 months or a whole term or whatever. It had all this time had gone past because you've got that child thinking, well, it's that big me, little me
Yeah.
dichotomy. I
Yeah.
need to be getting on with this by myself.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
Therefore, I come to ask for help less. And perhaps, the
Yeah.
parent's career is accelerating as well. So we just kind of go, oh, well, you're at secondary school now, crack on. But basically, they are at a stage where in their social and emotional world, they are scanning for micro cues of belonging all the
Yeah.
time. And they're
It's
hooked on
identity,
that.
isn't it?
Yes, yes, it's identity formation
Status.
and status, and the sort of desire to merge with their peers, with
Mm.
often a best friend, the best friend forever.
Yeah.
And they do that quite quickly and readily at the beginning of year 7, and they form a strong group there, which might be a dyad, two people, two little friends, or it might be a small group. But then come year 8, middle of year 8 and into year 9, there's this sort of they've
Yeah.
merged and then they need to emerge and merge again with other groups. And there's a lot of rupture and repair cycles in their
Mm.
relationships, but not yet the coping skills to deal with those. The stakes for them are hugely high
Yeah.
because, as you say, there's status, there's belonging, there's peer approval. Knowing that they belong and that they're safe within their peer group is very, very important to them. And the brain and the nervous system is really hijacked by these
Yeah.
moments of big and small ruptures. It might just be, I mean, I've seen kids in utter distress just
Mm,
because someone looked at them funny. And then
mm.
there's this disconnect with the adult world because, we might be a little bit dismissive. It's not a big deal,
Yes.
don't worry. And we
Yeah.
kind of talk to them head to head rather than
Yeah.
help them kind of just
Yes.
come back to ground.
But what I would say is many of us can remember those times as
Yeah,
well. So they are really, really important for our teenagers, our younger teenagers, because they do sit deep. They stay in your soul, I think. And I think anyone
yeah,
who's watch Mean Girls will know that
yeah.
anyone who knows of the existence of the burn book, which I know comes up a lot when I talk to
Mm,
mums of teenage girls, where girls write horrible things about each other and share it. All that kind of behavior, I think, is the thing that people find most distressing, the freezing out of people, the joining, the movement, the fluidity. So
mm,
so while that's not acceptable, it is normal, isn't it? That kind of thing, girls and boys. I think we
yeah.
often say it's girls, but that is normal in your experience as a teacher and when you work with parents.
It's it happens, it's normal, but we want kids to move through the stages of that kind of rubber banding
Right.
where, 1 minute it's all ideal,
Yeah.
they're idealized, the friendship is idealized, and then there's a kind of a little rupture or something happens and the whole thing is devalued. They feel devalued, they feel utterly depleted, or that's been put on them by the toxic friend who
Yeah.
says, if you're not like this, if you're not with me, you're against me, or they don't even say it, and that holds quite a lot of power. That's quite a lot of power play. What
Yeah.
we want to help our kids to do is have the skills to, recognize and process kind of bad behavior from peers because it's going to happen actually,
Yeah.
and it's actually helpful. It's almost like
It's a learning
developing
curve.
a herd immunity. When you have that toxic best friend in year 8, year 9, and you learn to see those behaviors coming, and you learn it the hard way. You learn it through experience, and there needs to be a lot of kind of patience and holding of parents who quite naturally, I'm a parent of a girl
It's
who's
hard.
16
Yeah.
now, and I've seen her go through experiences of these ups and downs.
Mm.
And, we'd all rather put pins in our eyes rather than see our child
Yes.
sad, upset, distressed, that kind of mama bear instinct
Yes.
kicks in and you want to go to war on their behalf,
Yeah.
but that doesn't really help. They have to feel that emotional pain, and we have to be okay with them having a bit of emotional pain because basically, if they see coercive and controlling behavior, toxic behavior,
They
this
know
kind of
what to
rubber
do.
banding, now you're in, now you're out, freeze you out stuff.
Mm.
If they experience that in their early teens, they'll see it coming when they've got maybe a toxic girlfriend or boyfriend later on.
Mm.
And
Yeah, I
those kind
think,
of
yeah,
toxic
that's
dynamics in the workplace or in intimate relationships. And so I think if we can reframe it a little bit and see it as actually part of a process, not collude with just letting them get on or saying, well, that's
mm,
the teenage way, isn't
yeah.
it? Everyone knows a mean girl. That's sort of, or everyone,
Mm. Knows a
you just got to
bully
man
boy,
up.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
we tend to over nurture girls in their social and emotional experience and a little bit under nurture boys.
Mm. Oh,
And yet
interesting.
boys and young
So
men are
yeah, sorry to
as,
interrupt.
if not
So
more.
so as a parent, you've got your teenager, 13, 14, coming home and saying, well, I mean, I'm on I've got four, so I'm on the fourth time of it. For the very first time I experienced this among the friendship group, I was horrified.
Yeah.
Whereas now I kind of am braced for its coming. But I remember one of my children saying there was a big school trip. They'd been frozen out on the morning of the trip and were made to sit on their own on the bus. Now, it took me, I would say, months to get over that. And as you say, I wanted to get straight on the WhatsApp and say, your child has blah, blah, blah. But
Mm.
as a parent hearing all of this, where do we start in our reactions to it and practically how we deal with it? And what could be conversation starters we could have with our young teens?
I think always remember that if your kid has had